Okay, for today's project on the Ultracruiser, we're working on the gas tank. Now, I welded up the gas tank quite a while back. So we're putting it in the fuselage now that we've got the instrument cover on there. Put the little piece of sheet metal on the A bulkhead a long time ago too. But now we need the cover to go over the tank. Now, as far as mounting the tank on the rails, the plans call for either putting a thin wooden strip under there or silicone pads at the corners. And then I watched a video from Hummel Aviation, and they pretty much run a big old bead of clear silicone on there and set the tank in it. Right now, what I'm doing is I've run double-sided foam tape down each edge. That'll isolate the tank from the rails so they won't be metal to metal rubbing. Plus, it'll also keep the tank in position while I'm working on it. So right now I'm going to build a template for the cover out of poster board like I did on the instrument cover. We'll cut a hole in it to fit around this, lay it down the side, and then start marking the holes. The holes are already in the side here on the rail, and the cover is mounted down with 632 screws. And every other hole here has got a rivet and then a screw hole, which I've tapped. The rivets are countersunk on this section so it will lay flush. Here's a couple of screws already in the holes. And then as you go up along the top here and along here, those will be held on with 632 screws also. We'll put nut plates on the back side of the sheet metal since there's nothing to thread into. Once I get the poster board all fit, then we can transfer it just like we did on the other piece to aluminum. All right, this looks like it's working out pretty good so far. Cut the hole in the top for the filler. Drape this extra large piece of poster board on there, and I went ahead and put the screws in on both sides where it fastens down to the rail. So now I can follow the line of the instrument cover, bring that forward, cut that off, do that on both sides, and then I can also do like a finger tracing right there, and that will mark that edge. So then I would just need to come back for the overlap there, and I can do the same up here for that piece on top of a bulkhead. I can find the outer piece and then come back however far I want there and mark it. Okay, there's one side cut down. The poster board also works good because there's a little spot on this piece of sheet that's pushing out a little bit. So I definitely need to grind that down to make everything spit smoother. But yeah, I just followed the line from there. Looks good. I'll trim, once I get this side down, I'm going to trim this back a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and get the rivet or the clecos put back in here. Because when I took the clecos out, the bulkhead slid back a little bit since everything's at an angle. So I want to make sure that comes out right. But yeah, just unscrew this side, cut it off. Okay, got both bottom edges trimmed down. Then I made my trace line, front and rear. That was just, if you got dirty fingers like I do, you can usually just rub your finger on there and it'll leave a line. My fingers weren't quite dirty enough today, believe it or not. So I got a little graphite and rubbed it on there. But there's the line for the front. There's the line for the back. We'll pull this piece off. This, if you remember right, this skin went 3/4 inch past the bulkhead. So we'll probably want to take this back 3/4 of an inch and make the cut line there. And that gives us the 3/4 inch overlap. Maybe a little more. Well, I can't get into the, I don't want to get back into the rivets, but we'll overlap it probably 3/4 an inch. That'll give us a place to put the nut plates and the screws there. This is front to back. Here's the back edge of that piece. I probably ought to mark that. Make a mark on it too, because we want the skin for the tank to come about halfway up, about where that rivet line is, because the front half here will be covered with the skin that covers the top of the motor. So I'll go ahead and mark that inside, pull this off, and then we'll make our cut lines, cut that off, and then refit it and see how it looks. Okay, we got the pattern mapped out. Needed a 3/4 inch overlap here. And since it's a curved line, can't just use a straight edge. What I used was a little piece of this 3/4 angle and just laid it on the line that I traced and moved it along at one section at a time. So now we've got a cut line there. Did the same on the other side. Went from the back edge of that flange that's on the A bulkhead and went 3/4 inches forward there. The flange is a lot wider, but the rivets are set back a little bit because the tabs on the bulkhead face the rear. So we'll do a 3/4 inch overlap here. That'll give us room to put the nut plates on without interfering with the tabs, and then we can cover the rest of this up when we build the cover for the engine. And we need the extra space there, I assume, because we're going to be using like quick turn fasteners here, so you can take the cover off the engine. So they may need a little more space than the nut plates. I am happy with the way it fits. Round the tops, round the back, round the sides, all looks good. I went ahead and put all the screws back in to make sure all that lined up, because my plan is to use the holes in the poster board to drill the screw holes in the aluminum. Because normally you would just match drill the holes in the rail, the inside, if you were riveting. These have already got threads. I do not want to run a drill bit through there. So hopefully everything will line out. It should. I mean, the worst I'd have to do is massage the holes a little bit, but it should work fine. Get it to this stage in aluminum. Then I'll go back through and mark where I want these fasteners to go. We'll drill the hole for the fastener, then we'll go in, take the cover off, go in from the inside, and put the nut plates in. That Cleco's work great on poster board too. Got all the holes drilled now. With that fastened firmly onto there, I'm just going to trim all the way around the pattern. Okay, that fit nicely. And I'm going to end the video here before I do anything else, because I got a question. I've actually got multiple instruction sheets for this. I have the normal set of plans, and I also have the picture book that Hummel is selling now that's used with the kit builds. And my question involves the nut plates around here. Now, it doesn't call out the spacing in the plans that I could find anywhere for the nut plates along here. Now, if I went with a 2-inch spacing, which is what the screws are here, that would throw them offset of the rivets in the instrument cluster cover. And if I go by the quick build instructions, they call for every 1.5 inches, which is the same spacing as the rivets here. So it would look nice. Your screws would be in line with the rivets. But that's also a lot of nut plates and a lot of screws. So first question, what are you guys doing as far as the spacing on this? Wider, same as the rivets there to make it look nice, or what? Second question, just how necessary is it to put screws in this thing? Because every nut plate requires 2 rivets, one on each side. So that's a lot of extra rivets. That's a lot of extra drilling. Why not just rivet this thing on? Now, I understand they put it on with screws to make it easy to take off. How often are you going to need to take off the tank cover? I mean, I flew my Mini-Max for a long time. I don't think I ever took the tank out of it. Once it was installed, fill it up with gas and go. And the fact that that's a lot of screws. Screws take time to screw in and out, even with a drill. And I used Avex rivets around that, those things are so easy to remove. I mean, just drill the head off and pop them right through the back side. I think I could probably take the rivets out just about the same time to take all the screws out. And then it would all look uniform there. So I was thinking maybe just use all rivets. Now, I understand using like cam lock fittings on top of the engine cowl because you'll want to get into the engine more often. But the fuel tank, I'm thinking once it's there, it's pretty much there. So if you got any insight, any advice on that, let me know. I'll probably If I go the rivet route, I could go ahead and drill the holes and cleco it on. If I'm going to do nut plates, I'm going to have to get more nut plates depending on which pattern I go with the bolts. So not going to do anything else right now, but it does fit good. Looks good on there, making it look more like an airplane instead of a canoe, which I like. All right, give me some help on that one. Thanks for watching.